Talk
Yes.
about One Wish and
Yes.
that moment, because what I loved about that story is
Hmm.
afterwards how she played it for Sissy, and Sissy said,
Yes.
"How come you didn't hold that note?" So you was right.
Yes.
So tell us
Yes.
about that story.
So when we were cutting the record One Wish, Joey really put pressure on me to get that record done quickly, because I had submitted that song. Sometimes I admitted songs to Joey and to Pat. I had submitted that song to Pat, and Patty was like, we want to do One Wish. So Pat kind of greenlighted that one, and, greenlighted before Joey felt like it came through her first. So he felt a bit of a way about it. And of the many songs, I have submitted the songs to both of them. She got back to me first, and she chose that one. That wasn't even the main one of the Christmas album that I wanted. There was other songs I wanted more than that, but she said that's the one we want to go with. And she kind of put it together. And so Joey kind of like followed management at that point. So he felt a way about it. So he kind of like was putting the pressure on me, like this is the last song that's going to be recorded and you got to get it all done in one night. And if you don't get it done, I'm not going to put it on the album. We're just going to put another song from the Preacher's Wife on the album. So he kind of was like really putting the pressure on me. So I was like, oh,
And look, putting the pressure on you with somebody who has no concept of time.
right. But she had a concept of time that night, so it was like, Pat was like, this is the last recording session for this album. We're Christmas albums, they have to be done in a certain time to get them
Right.
on schedule. So everybody clear, like it was like the pressure was on. Bobby was frying chicken. I'm like, Bobby, that chicken was good too. I mean, really, really
Wait,
good.
look, he's frying chicken at the studio. Y'all got a
Frying
whole
chicken
kitchen
in the studio, in a different room. Like I'm like, Bobby, why of all nights are you frying the chicken now, please? Although the fried chicken was really, really good.
Bobby Brown Foods.
Bobby Brown Foods. So the pressure's on, and so we get to the bridge, and knowing about all those material things, what you gotta think about is a love Christmas. And I wanted the octave, and I wanted her to hold it. I said, Whitney, you gotta hold it. And she did hold it, but then she did the run down. And she did different runs. Like that was the run we kept, but there was different runs. I said, I'm getting a little bit. I would say angry might be too strong a word, but I'm getting very intentional now because I have a vision and I'm on a timeline. Because Joey's kind of like, you got to get this done.
Yeah.
Like I'm pulling the plug. And so I'm like, okay, Whitney, like I need that note. I need the high note. I need the octave. And I'm getting like a little bit more stern than I've got usually. She said, and she looked at me. she said, Gwen James, I think you want to do what I do, and if that's what you need to do, then that's what you need to do. I said, excuse me, because I'm at this point, I'm thinking I'm telling her what to do. She said, I think you want to do what I do, and if that's what you need to do, then that's what you need to do. I'm gonna give you your note 1 or 2 more times, and then we're moving on, okay? And I said, well, what are you doing? She said, sing. She said, yeah, I think you want to sing. Because I'm imitating her, the vocal I need from her, but I had to sing it strongly. And she did give us the vocal, and the cascading rundown is beautiful, and it did have the climax. It was her doing it her way. It was her, that clip that you played, like that was a moment of her sort of producing herself, but still collaboratively. Like, I get your idea, but this is my interpretation of your idea.
Right.
And then you're right. Later on, when I saw her at another party year old, she said, why mama come up to me and say when she heard One Wish, why I didn't hold that note? So when we reissued the album, we're going to go back to the studio going, and I'm going to hold that note as long as you and mama want. So she did tell me that. She did actually, that was her way of admitting, But also, Whitney, like in that moment, she spoke prophecy to my heart because I had been having the solo artist bug for many years. Mm-hmm. But I just was, I was afraid. I was older. I was in my early 30s, At that point, this is the early 2000s, new artists are 17 or 16 or 14 or whatever.
And then you had a couple of deals that didn't come to fruition.
I had a couple of record deals that didn't, one on Universal, one on Motown that didn't work out. So at that point, I still had the singing bug in me, but was still healing from the disappointments. I just didn't know if I want to go back out, put myself out there like that. However, people like Cam and Nora Jones and John Legend, John Stevens, who was John Legend, we're starting to make buzzes with these independent records. I said, well, maybe I'll just do an independent. So at that point, when she said that to me, like she said it, even though it was in a moment of tension between us, it was prophetic. And like I said earlier, when we were talking about how Whitney prayed with you, Whitney saw through you. She
Mm.
was a very spiritual person that could understand what you were feeling, what you were going through. She could look through your soul. She had
Mm.
very piercing eyes and very strong, firm handshakes. You know, she would touch you. She's very physical, you know, and she understood your spirit by just being in your presence and connecting with you. And when I got home from that session, it was a very stressful session, but I was very proud of myself because I had to rise to the pressure and the occasion, and I got it done. And I went to church. I said, you know, I think Whitney spoke spirit into my heart. I think it's time for me to work on solo album number one. And I called friends of mine, from engineers to studios to songwriters, and said, you know, I think I will have this bug. And everybody I asked was like, we got you. We'll help you. So she truly was the, not the only, but the big sister who gave that prophetic nudge.